Another season of Formula One gets underway. This time, the first race of the year is in wet conditions, certain to bring some drama, especially for the rookies. A lot of them never even experiencing Formula One cars in the wet, so that was interesting. This is the 2025 Australian Grand Prix post-race analysis. As expected, McLaren were the class of the field. They seem to have a pretty good margin above everybody else, which is a little scary. They were completely controlling the race, 1-2, and then on dry tires, they hit the rain first and slid off the track. Lando goes on to win the race. Piastri manages to salvage 9th after being in the grass for about 60 seconds. Really love that mentality of don't give up. He backed his way out, got on track, and still got some points. Is what you need, that kind of mentality. You need to get any point you can, especially in these close championships. So that was interesting. Expect them to be much faster in dry conditions. Red Bull Racing, that car's a piece of garbage. Sure, Max Verstappen is able to get a result out of that car, but no other driver can seem to get on top of the handling characteristics of the car. So there's no surprise that Max was brilliant in those wet, tricky conditions. We saw what he did in Brazil last year. Liam Lawson, however, he was a full second off in qualifying, but in the wet conditions, there were times where he was 3 seconds off of Max's pace. That's brutal. So I get it. It's a difficult car to drive, and Liam wasn't even able to keep the car on track the whole race. So his first race with Red Bull, a DNF. I think he would have had a better result or a better performance if he was driving an RB than he did with the Red Bulls. Mercedes looked to be the second best car. George Russell had a solid race, finished on the podium. That's fantastic. But, what did he really do? He was nowhere near McLaren or Verstappen, and he was just kind of keeping pace ahead of the Ferraris and whatnot. But still, a good result. Kimi Antonelli, the phenom rookie, 4th place in his debut race after starting 16th. That's fantastic. Really promising. The only rookie to really have any kind of performance. Sure, he did have a spin, but he also made some passes during the race, so a great learning experience. Can't deny that he had some luck. From the time that Alonso spun and brought out the safety car, and there was that switch from inters to slicks, and then slicks back onto inters, he got very fortunate once it all cycled through that he was in a good points place position, good track position. So he definitely got lucky, but, give the kid some credit. The weird thing, though, was why did he get a penalty? They say he had an unsafe release, which is usually pretty cut and dry, gets a 5-second penalty, drops him down to 5th. After the race, they reversed the penalty. We never did see this unsafe release, so why did he get a penalty in the first place? And if it did happen, why did it get reversed? That's weird, but welcome to Formula One. Williams, it looks like they actually have some speed in that car, which is awesome. Albon got a bit lucky with that whole sequence of safety car and the changing conditions and whatnot, but he was battling in the points all race, so I think that was deserved. Carlos Sainz, tough break. Seems he had a bit of a torque spike on an upshift, and it really shows that this generation of car in this conditions, that you fire up those rear wheels and that car's going around. So, lots of people did it in this race. He was super strong, from testing all the way up into qualifying 3. And then it seems like his weekend fell apart. But I'm really excited to see just how good the Williams is in the upcoming races. Aston Martin looked pretty damn slow once again. It seems their short run of glory back in 2023 is nothing but a distant memory. Stroll, he's had races before where he's performed well in wet conditions or these changing conditions, and what do you know? He did it again. He might have got lucky as well, but he didn't make any real mistakes. He kept the car on track, and it paid off in the end, so give the guy some credit. A rare mistake from Alonso, though they might have been attributed to some gravel on the track, because Gasly was right in front of him. He goes off, dips a tire, brings some gravel on the track. Alonso is the next guy through, and spins the car out. So that could be the reason for it, but Afterwards, I'm sure other cars went through and didn't spin out either, but, who knows. Sauber scored more points with Hulkenberg's 7th place finish than they scored all of last year. So a great start to their season. I don't think anybody would have expected them to be in the points very often this year. They look pretty bad in testing, but they definitely look better than the Haas right now. Bortoleto, I think he was having a pretty good race. He was holding to his own. He seems like he is on pace or, even maybe slightly quicker at times than Hulkenberg. That's fantastic. And then, he had his spin there and he was out of the race. It was interesting. During that spin, you can see the rear wheel rip off kind of mid-spin. Makes me wonder if, was that suspension already going to fail, or if it was just a case of this, he locked up and that torque on it just kind of shredded it. But that was kind of interesting. But either way, I think he had a pretty good weekend. Ferrari. It took one damn race for the Lewis Hamilton fans to feel the pain of Ferrari's brilliance. Charles Leclerc was clearly the faster driver, but he continues to make mistakes. Lewis Hamilton was predictably slow in his first race, but he doesn't really make mistakes, so they kind of stayed together. It didn't matter. Ferrari pit wall continues to be the joke of Formula One. Charles has water in his heat. It must be the water. Brilliant. It's going to be a long season, guys. Alpine, likely the same kind of pace as Williams, both of them ahead of the Aston Martin. I think Gasly was having a good race until he didn't. He went off track just slightly, and it allowed both Ferraris to go through and out of the points. Doohan was a victim of just how quickly these cars come around when you light the rear tires up. But hey, he wasn't the only one that did it. RB deserved at least a point with Yuki Tsunoda. He had a brilliant qualifying. He was holding his own in the race inside the points. And then that whole safety car dry to wet condition sequence played out and he wasn't able to get back in the points. They deserved a lot more. Isaac Hadjar, to record a did not start in your very first race because you crashed out on the formation lap, that's rough. I think we all can understand and appreciate his emotions during that time. The embarrassment, the disappointment, all of that. We get it. That's brutal. But he wasn't the only one to have troubles in these conditions. I mean, Alonso, Sainz, and all the other rookies, they all spun out and had trouble. So, he can hold his head up high. He doesn't have to hold it down, that's for sure. Yeah, I think we can cut the kid some slack. But class act, Anthony Hamilton, for consoling him. I thought that was really cool because, like I said, we all understood his emotions in that time. Haas, awfully slow, but they both finished the race, so that's good. It's quite surprising just how bad they are, considering that car was pretty quick last season. Hulkenberg was able to have some really good qualifying. They got into points, especially at the end of the year, and yet they are nowhere right now, at least in this weekend. So hopefully they can do something to figure that out. Driver of the day, Max Verstappen. Any other driver duo on any other team are reasonably close to each other. Kimi in his first race was pretty good compared to George Russell, who has all the experience. Fernando Alonso is one of the all-time greats, and Lance Stroll kind of sucks. And yet they're still only a few tenths apart, on most days at least. The margin between Max Verstappen and Liam Lawson was oceans apart. Not even close, at least so far. No, I get it, that Red Bull is edgy to drive, but it seems like Max is the only one that can figure it out. And we've been seeing this for the last 5 years. So he finished the race by putting pressure on Lando Norris, the leader, who was in the best car, and it's likely going to be a dominant car for these opening races. So that was a very, very impressive performance. Honorable mention to Kimi Antonelli, rookie driver in his very first race, super slippery conditions. He made some passes, limited mistakes, He had really good pace, and at the end of the day, a bloody good result. But you guys tell me, who was your driver of the day? What did you think of the entire race? Are you excited about this season? Leave a comment, hit the like button, and as always, thanks for watching.